Part 39. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 381. As the giant battleship flew out from the center of the disk gate, one after another spaceships flew out of the disk. Groups of warships appeared within Chen Hao's field of vision. With the help of the huge field of vision brought by the sharing of small diamonds, Chen Hao can clearly see the appearance and posture of these warships full of technology. During this period, Chen Hao and Chi Phosphorus still received various information provided by the information database. After Chen Hao saw the figures of these battleships, he immediately realized that the disk-like gate standing in the universe should be the exit of the warp engine channel. But under normal circumstances, this warp engine channel cannot be constructed in an instant. After all, no one else has a plug-in like an information processor like me. Unless, this thing has been there from the beginning, just hidden. An idea flashed in Chen Hao's mind. Green civilization. At this time, a transparent blue screen appeared in front of Chen Hao. The screen is facing the space battleship group in front. The Vanguard battleship group of Green Civilization. Mission. The mission of the Pioneer battleship group is to investigate the environment of VAF planet, determine whether it is habitable for life, and at the same time provide the environment and conditions for the subsequent colonization of Green Civilization. Look at the words on this screen. Chen Hao crossed his chest with his hands. Sure enough, it is the space battleship group of the Green Civilization. After more than 600,000 years of long space travel, they are returning to their homeland. Chen Hao is still a little interested in guys like Liu Yi civilization. However, even if he was interested, Chen Hao did not think about approaching directly. After all, he doesn't have the habit of getting familiar with things on his own. Chen Hao stood on the platform and watched these guys fly towards the direction of Star VAF. See their presence. Chen Hao touched his chin. I wonder if these guys would be surprised to see that VAF star was gone after they flew over. Before Chen Hao could think about it, Chen Hao suddenly noticed that two small battleships flew out of the group of fleets. They broke away from the group of battleships and flew towards the side. Well, was discovered? However, it is no wonder that a civilization has developed for so many years and has traveled for more than 600,000 years. It would be strange if they could not even discover it themselves. Chen Hao stood on the platform and watched the two small warships approaching. The two ships flew in front of Chen Hao and slowly stopped. These are two very small battleships. Judging from the size, this battleship is about the same as a single-person fighter jet. It is estimated that it can only accommodate 1 or 2 people. They hovered in front of Chen Hao, and one of the battleships projected a picture. There is text in the picture. These words are similar to the words on VAF star. Through the conversion of the information processor, these words become words that Chen Hao can understand. Follow us or die. Chen Hao was stunned when he saw this text. Is this green civilization too uncivilized? Is this the first thing you say when you meet a stranger? Chen Hao didn't bother to say anything more, so he opened the universal book. Stop what you're doing or we're going to attack. The text on the screen changes. Chen Hao rolled his eyes and took out the card from the omnipotent book. The moment Chen Hao took out the card, the two battleships aimed their laser guns at Chen Hao. A white laser shot out from the muzzle and shot at Chen Hao. Bang bang bang. With loud noises, the laser exploded on Chen Hao. However, Chen Hao's expression did not change at all. When these lasers hit Chen Hao's body, even Chen Hao's clothes were not damaged. The defensive power this immortal body brings to Chen Hao is invincible. Chen Hao ignored the attacks of these laser bullets and took out the God Realm card from the universal book. Transformation. The God Realm card lit up slightly. Immediately, a figure appeared in front of Chen Hao. This figure is none other than Xiaoying. As soon as Xiaoying appeared, she opened her eyes, and after realizing the situation, her body moved. A slender figure appeared behind the two battleships. With a small hand, the dark power condensed into an extremely huge sickle. The scythe swung violently. The sickle was already huge. The moment Xiaoying waved it, the blade of the sickle spit out a black blade that was 100 feet long, and the blade passed by the two warships. Boom! The two battleships split into two and exploded instantly. The internal environment of the battleship is estimated to be that of the VAF star, and the explosion can be heard when it explodes. Flames flew. At the moment the battleship exploded, you could see the cockpit door opening. Two figures flew out of the cockpits of two small battleships. Chen Hao looked at the two figures in front of him, his eyes lit up slightly, and there was a smile on his face. Tisk, it's really a bit science fiction. These two warriors were obviously a man and a woman. Their bodies were covered with thick armor, and there were injectors on the armor. The injectors sprayed out blue flames, and they flew out of the cockpit. The two raised their hands with firearms that Chen Hao had never seen before, and pointed them at Xiaoying. Bang bang, blue laser bullets shot towards Xiaoying. Xiaoying frowned, moved his body, and disappeared. The expressions of the two guys changed slightly. The small shadow figure suddenly appeared behind the two of them, waving the giant scythe in his hand. The two men were split into two together with the armor on their bodies. Turned into two corpses. Xiaoying moved and landed beside Chen Hao. She looked at Chen Hao, "Master." Hearing this, Chen Hao smiled and nodded slightly, "Well done." As he spoke, Chen Hao looked at the two bodies that had been cut into four pieces in front of him. It seems that the green civilization is not a good civilization. They are more like a plundering civilization. However, this means of attack is not very strong. This thing looks like a laser gun or a thermal weapon, but that's all. When Chen Hao was thinking about this, he suddenly noticed that the four pieces of the body suddenly turned into silver gravel. These silver gravel-like things seemed to have self-awareness and quickly condensed together. Then, a huge monster that was 1,000 meters high appeared in front of Chen Hao. The size of this monster was very huge, and it was made of armor all over. Seeing this, Chen Hao's pupils condensed. The two guys just now were just in human form, and they were not made of flesh and blood, but nano-goblins. After the body was formed, the armored monster stretched out its huge hand and grabbed Xiaoying. Xiaoying moved her body, dodged, and swung the sickle in her hand. The neck of the armored monster broke, and the huge head was disconnected from the body. The mechanical head just separated and turned into silver sand again and moved to the top of the body, turning into the head again. Xiaoying frowned and swung the sickle in her hand again. The sickle in Xiaoying's hand danced wildly, like a storm, covering the entire armored monster. The intention was to chop the entire armored monster into gas. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 382. The sickle in Xiaoying's hand danced, turning into a series of after-images. When Xiaoying stopped moving, the body of the giant mecha that was 1,000 meters high just now has dispersed and turned into dust. Chen Hao, who was standing aside, looked at the scene and frowned. No energy core. The nano fairy is actually what people call magic element. The mecha in front of him is actually made of magic element. Normally, creatures made of magic element must have something like magic crystal. But now Xiaoying's attack has clearly covered the entire giant mecha, but there is no energy core. Those bodies that seemed to have turned into dust suddenly condensed again. In the blink of an eye, they turned into the giant mecha again. The giant mecha's side fell on Xiaoying, and it slapped Xiaoying with a slap. Xiaoying's body disappeared instantly, avoiding the attack of the giant mecha. At this time, a bunch of information appeared on the transparent screen in front of Chen Hao. Third generation nano-giant mecha warrior. The magic element of the WAF planet belongs to the first generation of nanorobots. The giant mecha warrior in front of him is composed of the third generation of nanorobots. The third generation of nanorobots has a stronger material composition. Each third generation of nanorobots can be used as a core to form a living body. Seeing this, Chen Hao's pupils condensed slightly. The creatures composed of magic element will die as long as the magic crystal is destroyed, and the mecha warrior in front of him, as long as there is a nanorobot that survives, then it will not die. You know, nanorobots are smaller than cells. Even if this giant mecha warrior is blasted into dust, it does not mean that it will die. This thing is simply immortal. However, Chen Hao looked at the scene where this giant mecha warrior could not touch Xiaoying's body and could only passively take a beating. Chen Hao's heart moved. It seems that the green civilization only allows nanorobots to upgrade, and other aspects are not very good. At least, this giant mecha warrior has no way to deal with Xiaoying's teleportation ability. However, it is not a good idea to continue like this. Thinking of this, Chen Hao took out the Star Catcher ring card from the Universal Book. Chen Hao said, "Xiaoying, come back." Xiaoying looked at Chen Hao and moved her body to return to Chen Hao's side. The giant mecha turned its head and looked at Chen Hao. Chen Hao waved the Star Catcher ring card in his hand and flew to the giant humanoid mecha in front, transform. The card turned into a silver Star Catcher ring, and in an instant, it was wrapped around the waist of the giant humanoid mecha. The mecha looked at the Star Catcher ring wrapped around its waist, and it wanted to struggle, raised its hand, and grabbed the Star Catcher ring. However, as soon as its hand approached the Star Catcher ring, it was blocked by an invisible transparent cover, and it could not grab it at all. The Star Catcher ring constructed a spherical barrier that cannot be seen by the naked eye, encircling the entire giant mecha inside. The giant mecha seemed to be aware of its body. Its huge body suddenly became like ashes blown by the wind. The whole body scattered and turned into a large mass of dust-like matter. This mass of matter slammed into the transparent cover, but it couldn't break it open. The dust turned into a giant mecha again. The giant mecha raised its hand, and a light flashed on the palm of its huge hand. A laser with a diameter of more than 500 meters hit the transparent cover, but it was useless. The star-catching ring emitted a white light, and the light instantly engulfed the entire giant mecha. A flash of white light. Two more cards appeared in front of Chen Hao. One was the star-catching ring card, and the other was the giant mecha just now. Third generation nano giant mecha warrior. Chen Hao put away the star-catching ring, and he held the giant mecha warrior card. It looked like the transparent cover just displayed by the star-catching ring. Chen Hao touched his chin. This transparent cover did not appear when capturing the ocean star before, but it appeared when capturing this mecha, information processor. Do you know the reason? Target: when you use the star-catching ring to capture the ocean star, the target is the ocean star, so the star-catching ring will not restrict the creatures in the ocean star from leaving the range of the star-catching ring, but this time your capture target is the entire mecha, so when the mecha wants to leave by decomposing into nanorobots, the transparent cover will appear. The mechanical and emotionless voice of the information processor sounded in Chen Hao's mind. No wonder. Chen Hao looked at the battleships in the distance. After the battleships shot this thing to trouble him, they did not stop. Now the battleships have disappeared from the naked eye. Qi Lin said before that many phenomena that he could not understand appeared in WAF Star, and those phenomena were not left by the green civilization. There are many phenomena that Qi Lin cannot understand, such as cardization, teleportation, and the evolution of monsters, because those things did not exist in the green civilization of Qi Lin's era. Qi Lin guessed that it might be that the green civilization gave them these abilities for some purpose after the technology developed to a certain level. But now it seems that this is not the case. The warriors of the green civilization have no way to deal with Xiaoying's teleportation ability. Then who gave the cardization ability, teleportation ability, etc. to these creatures on the WAF star? Chen Hao didn't know, so Chen Hao temporarily put these thoughts aside. Chen Hao stretched his eyebrows and said calmly, "Originally, I didn't want to cause trouble for you. Since you want to cause trouble for me, it's not rude to return the favor." Chen Hao glanced at the God Realm star card in his hand and said, "Transform." The God Realm star card lit up slightly. A figure appeared in front of Chen Hao. It was Xiao Diamond. When Little Diamond looked at Chen Hao, her eyes were filled with luster. "Master, are you calling me?" Chen Hao nodded slightly, then looked at Xiaoying. "Xiaoying, take Little Diamond and go find the pile of battleships just now." Xiaoying nodded. Battleship? Little Diamond was a little confused. Chen Hao looked at Little Diamond and said, "They are a bunch of enemies. Their technological power is a bit strong, and it is difficult for Xiaoying to deal with them. When you see them later, just swallow them up." Hearing this, Little Diamond nodded seriously, "Okay." She looked at Xiaoying, "Let's go." Xiaoying hummed. Xiaoying teleported, and Diamond and Xiaoying disappeared together. Chen Hao slowly sat down on the vine chair behind him. He looked at the giant mecha warrior card in his hand. 3rd generation nano giant mecha warrior. Taming degree, 100%. I still have a lot of doubts about green civilization, so I can just ask about it. At the same time, inside the main ship of the Green Civilization Pioneer Battleship Group. "What's going on?" The captain of the main ship stood in the command room. He raised his head and looked at the big screen above. The big screen was empty. In front of the big screen, there was an operator. The operator said, "It's gone, Captain, how strange. It's all gone. Green Star and other planets next to Green Star have all disappeared." The captain frowned. "How is that possible? Can't we still detect their existence before we enter the warp drive channel? It has only been 13 years since we entered the warp drive channel. These planets have, how can it be said that it disappears?" Boom, suddenly the entire battleship trembled. The captain's body was shaken, and he quickly grabbed the table before stopping. The captain frowned. "What's going on?" "Captain, a terrifying gravitational force has been detected. Our battleship group is attracted by the gravitational force of a planet," the operator suddenly spoke. "Ah," the captain was stunned. "What are you talking about? Where did the planet come from?" At this time, the operator knocked on the console. On a round platform, the location of the battleship group at this moment was projected. In this three-dimensional image, you can see a huge planet appearing in the middle of all the battleship groups. At this moment, the planet is rotating, and the nearby battleships, including their main ship, are being pulled towards the planet by the planet's strong gravity. The battleship closest to the planet entered the atmosphere of the gaseous planet, and was instantly swept into the storm generated by the atmosphere of the gaseous planet, and was directly shot into pieces. Where did this come from?" The captain's eyes widened. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world." Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 383. All the warships in the entire fleet were captured by the gravity of the planet and crashed into the planet one by one. The huge dark blue gas planet was rotating at a very fast speed. Its thick atmosphere produced extremely terrifying storms during its rotation. When a warship was pulled by gravity and entered the interior of the planet, it would be swept into the storm and torn apart. The captain realized this situation and hurriedly said, "Give orders to all warships to use the strongest power to escape the gravity of the planet." "Yes," the operator responded. The captain continued, "The main ship concentrates all the power of the ship on the propulsion engine to escape the opponent's gravity as soon as possible." "Yes," the operator put his hands on the operating table in front of him to operate. The lights on the entire warship disappeared, and even the lights in the command room disappeared. The 12 giant engines on the warship adjusted their angles and aimed the engine ports in the direction of the planet. The 12 giant engines ejected blue and white beams of light and shot towards the gas planet. The engine brought up a powerful force to offset the terrifying gravity. The captain could see the mass of the planet through the big screen in front of him. The mass of this planet is the mass of a gas planet. With the power of the mothership, it is enough to escape its gravitational range. "Captain," the operator suddenly said, "the mothership is still leaning towards the planet. We can't escape its gravity." The captain was stunned. "This is impossible. The gravity generated by the mass of the sky, the mothership can't escape." The operator's fingers jumped on the console. He looked at the picture displayed on the screen in front of him and said, "Yes, but it's strange. The gravitational waves it generates are very strange. For us, the gravitational waves it emits are more powerful. The stronger our power, the greater the gravitational waves it causes." The captain's pupils condensed. He looked at the big screen in front of him, looking at the deep blue gas giant through the big screen, his pupils trembling. "This planet can change its own gravitational waves. Is this guy alive?" Without any surprise, the entire fleet was captured by the gravity of this deep blue gaseous planet. The fleets rotated into the planet and collided with the atmospheric storm outside the planet. Once they collided, they disintegrated. When the mothership collided, boom, the entire mothership burst into scorching flames, and the entire mothership body dispersed in response. A little firelight rippled on the surface of the deep blue planet. For this extremely large planet, even the mothership of the fleet seemed extremely small. Death swallowed the entire fleet. Some soldiers' bodies turned into countless third-generation nanorobots. These nanorobots, as small as dust, entered the interior of the giant planet and were compressed by the terrifying gravity. These nanorobots were all broken and turned into smaller substances. No nanorobot could survive in this planetary environment. When the lives of the entire fleet disappeared, in this vast and dark universe, only the huge blue gaseous planet was left slowly rotating. In the distance, Xiaoying looked at the planet in front of her, her eyes revealing a trace of surprise. Planetary level, it's really terrifying. At this time, the blue gas planet was covered with white light. The entire gas planet was shrouded in white light, and then slowly shrank. Soon, the entire gas planet turned into a human body again, and turned back into the appearance of Little Diamond. Little Diamond opened her eyes, moved her body, and came in front of Little Diamond. She looked at Little Diamond. "It's time to go back." Xiaoying nodded slightly. On the other side, Chen Hao was sitting on a vine chair, and in front of him was the 1,000-meter-high humanoid mecha just now. The humanoid mecha was standing in this vast space, and the stability of its body was adjusted by the engine device on it. At this moment, it was standing in front of Chen Hao, staring at Chen Hao with red pupils, as if waiting for Chen Hao's order. So, Chen Hao was thinking. Now the question is, how can I communicate with it? This guy, obviously, is not a beast master. It is a highly intelligent humanoid mecha composed of 3 generations of robots. At present, there are 2 common ways for Chen Hao to communicate with the target. One is to talk to the target directly with sound, but sound cannot be transmitted in a vacuum. The other is that Chen Hao directly communicates with the beast master through the brain through mental communication. The first one is in this vacuum. I guess the guy in front of me can't hear what I say. What about direct mental communication? But the question is, does this thing have a brain? This is a question. There is another question, that is, what should I do? When Chen Hao communicates with the beast masters with his mind, it is a special ability. As long as Chen Hao's beast masters have undergone genetic evolution, the beast masters have this ability. Chen Hao only needs to think in his mind, and the beast master can sense it. After thinking about it, Chen Hao decided to give it a try. He looked at the mecha in front of him and said in his mind, "Hello." However, this giant mecha just stared at Chen Hao without any reaction. Does that mean that I can only use words to talk to it in a vacuum? That's too stupid. It's really not cool. Chen Hao touched his chin and thought for a while. Information processor, I want to communicate with this guy in front of me. Is there any way I can set up an electromagnetic wave communication channel for the master and it, so that you and it can communicate through this channel? The voice of the information processor came. In order to facilitate the master to open this communication channel at any time, you can give it a name. When you call its name, you can automatically open the communication channel and talk to it. Chen Hao was slightly startled. It sounds similar to mobile phone communication. According to Chen Hao, mobile phone communication also uses electromagnetic waves? Yes, similar to mobile phone communication. The information processor gave an explanation. Hearing this, Chen Hao understood. Okay, then I will give it a name. Chen Hao looked at the two horns on the head of this giant mecha. He touched his chin and said, "Then it is called the horn." Received, the communication channel horn is being constructed. The construction is completed. A mechanical voice came. Chen Hao looked at the mecha in front of him and said to himself, "Bullhorn, can you hear it now?" The red light in the pupil of the bullhorn lit up slightly. "I have received the message from the master, please give me your orders." A deep voice sounded in Chen Hao's mind. This voice was almost exactly the same as when Chen Hao communicated with other beast masters. Chen Hao suddenly had another idea in his mind. Could it be that the spiritual communication of beast masters is actually this kind of technology? I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 384. Chen Hao looked at the giant humanoid mecha named Niojiao in front of him, and he asked, "How much do you know about the Green Civilization?" All kinds of information and materials about Green Civilization are stored in my database. If the master wants to know anything, just ask. The sound of the horn sounded in Chen Hao's mind. Chen Hao's heart was moved and he said, "You mean, everything about the Green Civilization is recorded in your database?" "Yes, I am a pioneer warrior of the Green Civilization. I belong to the high-level secrets of the Green Civilization. All the information about the Green Civilization is recorded in my database," Niojiao Hao explained. Hearing this, Chen Hao suddenly realized. In other words, from the perspective of Green Civilization, the horn is a very powerful and indestructible existence. Green Civilization was worried about the loss of its own data and information, so it deliberately backed up some information in Niojiao Hao. It is also possible that Niojiao is required to perform some tasks independently, and Niojiao is specially given some information to facilitate Niojiao to make judgments when performing tasks. Chen Hao crossed his hands on his chest. "That's okay. Let me ask you, the Green Civilization left Green Star for interstellar travel 600,000 years ago. More than 600,000 years have passed now. In this long time, has Liuyi Civilization ever returned to Liuyi Star?" This is a very important question, and Chen Hao has always had many doubts. That is, are the creatures in VAF continent that can be turned into cards, have teleportation and other abilities, and the existence of void beasts related to the Green Civilization? Could it be that, as Red Phosphorus guessed, those abilities were created by the Green Civilization after they came back? These questions are important, and the answers can be found right now. From the data I have, the Green Civilization has been looking for a planet suitable for habitation since it left Green Star. However, it took 6,700 years for the Green Civilization to find a planet suitable for itself. After that, Green Civilization has established bases and energy transfer stations in some desert-like planets to house some personnel and obtain the energy needed by the fleet. After leaving some people behind, the fleet continued to search for a planet suitable for habitation. It took another 468,697,000 years. Unfortunately, the green civilization failed to find a planet suitable for habitation. Over a long period of time, the fleet established countless bases and energy transfer stations. 100,000 years ago, scientists observed that the green star was rejuvenated, so the fleet chose to return here. Hear this. Chen Hao felt as if he was building a long history. After more than 600,000 years, have you not been able to find the next planet suitable for human survival? This news is too disappointing. Chen Hao adjusted his mood and looked at the horn. In other words, in these more than 600,000 years, the green civilization has not come back. Before scientists re-observed the green civilization and realized that the green civilization had regained its vitality, the green civilization had been looking for a habitable planet. It had never come back. Jiao Hao gave the answer. After hearing this answer, Chen Hao fell silent. In fact, when Chen Hao saw the mecha in front of him and saw the strength shown by this mecha when dealing with Xiaoying, Chen Hao realized that whether it was cards, teleportation, or the planets about Endless Star and Gem Star, environmental transformation has nothing to do with green civilization. Although he was aware of it, Chen Hao felt a little disappointed when he heard it with his own ears. While feeling lost, Chen Hao also realized that besides the green civilization, there must be a third party. Otherwise, it would be impossible to explain the transformation into cards, nor the environmental modification rings on planets such as Endless Star and Gem Star, as well as the appearance of void beasts. That existence gave life the ability to transform everything into cards, creating a planetary environment ring. This ability is too terrifying. What kind of existence does it take to achieve that level? Suddenly, Chen Hao thought of something. Information processors seem to be able to build some weird things. Let me ask. Thinking about it, Chen Hao asked, Information processor, can you now build a planetary environment ring? Yes, but it will take time. The mechanical voice of the information processor sounded. Chen Hao's heart moved. If I ask you to build an environmental transformation ring similar to the one in Endless Star, how long will it take? 60 years. The information processor gave the answer. After hearing this answer, Chen Hao touched his chin. It takes a long time, but that kind of planetary environment modification ring is an extremely huge celestial tool. If it were the civilization on Earth that I lived in my last life, it would probably take hundreds of thousands of years to build it, let alone 60 years. The ability of this information processor is indeed terrifying. Master, suddenly, a voice came, awakening Chen Hao, who was trapped in his own world. Chen Hao came back to his senses. When he took a look, he saw Xiaoying coming back with Little Diamond. Xiaoying stood on the platform, looked at Chen Hao and said, "It's done, the entire fleet has been solved." Hearing this, Chen Hao was startled. Has everything been solved? Xiaoying nodded slightly. Chen Hao touched his nose. The green civilization has been wandering outside for more than 600,000 years, but as soon as it sent a group of vanguards home to investigate, they were wiped out by the group. It really feels a bit desolate. But, what does that have to do with me? From Chen Hao's perspective, if they want Chen Hao to show hostility, he is the enemy. The enemy should die, it's simple. Chen Hao shrugged, ignore them. Chen Hao looked at Xiaoying and Xiao Diamond and smiled, you two have worked hard. Xiaoying said, it's not hard, this is what we should do. Chen Hao touched his chin and looked at Xiaoying, I just took you two back to the God Realm. Is the God Realm still the same as before? Xiaoying said, it's a little different. The place where we stayed in the God Realm before is located in the universe. Outside the God Realm is the universe without any boundaries. Then, I tried to leave the God Realm and found that the entire God Realm seemed to be locked in a transparent spherical barrier. However, you can still see the stars and sunlight outside. If you don't plan to leave the God Realm, it will be no different from living in the God realm. At this point, Xiaoying paused. By the way, Master, the portal in the God realm can still be used. We can go to the WAF star through the portal, and we can also go to the Big Dipper star through the portal. Chen Hao blinked and nodded slightly. These are quite magical. Chen Hao could not help but sigh once again at the power that the god had given him. Chen Hao smiled, "You have worked hard, go back first, I will call you later if I have something." Xiaoying will listen to the master. Xia Huadian will listen to the master. Chen Hao nodded slightly. Chen Hao put Xiaoying and Xia Huadian into the God Realm star card. His sight fell on the direction of Huangfeng star and Huangtu star. After the episode of the Green Civilization battleship, it was time to look at the last two remaining planets. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 385. Yellow Wind Star is the seventh planet in this planetary system. It is an unnamed planet, and Chen Hao gave it this name. The reason for this name is that it is a gas giant planet. Its rotation speed can be said to be the fastest among the 10 planets. From the surface, you can see that on the periphery of this yellow wind star, a large amount of orange-yellow atmosphere is rotating at a speed visible to the naked eye. Above, orange and yellow storms cover the entire surface of the gas giant planet. Because the color is yellow, and the wind force is very strong, Chen Hao named it Yellow Wind Star. Behind the yellow wind star, there is an eighth planet, which is also a gas giant planet. The rotation speed is slower than that of the yellow wind star, and the overall color is earthy yellow, so Chen Hao calls it Yellow Earth Star. Chen Hao's current target is these two. In terms of volume, the size difference between the two is not very large. Yellow Earth Star is only a small circle smaller than the yellow wind star. I think using a method similar to that used for the ice blue star and the deep blue star, and letting them collide, should be able to smash them into pieces. When the time comes, once the small diamond absorbs it, the mass and volume of the small diamond will definitely become stronger. After Chen Hao put away the horn, he came to the location of the lowest star. He looked at the lowest star in front of him, raised the star-catching ring card in his hand, and waved it. The star-catching ring card flew out, and the card turned into a huge star-catching ring. The star-catching ring was suspended directly above the lowest star. The star-catching ring slowly went down, encircling the lowest star, and the huge star-catching ring rotated with the rotation of the lowest star. Slowly, the star-catching ring emitted a silvery white light. The white light lit up, and then covered the entire lowest star. In an instant, the white light dissipated, and the lowest star and the star-catching ring disappeared together. Two cards appeared in front of Chen Hao. The star-catching ring card and the lowest star card. Chen Hao put away the card and looked at the lowest star card in front of him. Lowest star looks smaller than yellow wind star. Using lowest star to hit yellow wind star should have a better effect. A warp engine channel appeared in front of Chen Hao. Chen Hao stepped into the warp engine channel. Chen Hao only felt a black and a bright light in front of his eyes. When he appeared again, Chen Hao had come to the vicinity of yellow wind star. However, although it is called nearby, it is actually very far away from yellow wind star. At this moment, Chen Hao is at a distance that can just take in the entire figure of yellow wind star with the naked eye. Almost Chen Hao took out the lowest star card. With a wave of his hand, the card flew out. The card turned into a ball of light, which lit up and quickly grew larger. In the blink of an eye, the figure of lowest star appeared next to yellow wind star. After the two huge gas giants appeared, their gravity attracted each other. Huangfeng star was rotating. When Huangfeng star's gravitational waves captured Huangtu star began to approach Huangfeng star. During the approaching process, Huangtu star also followed Huangfeng star's rotation and revolved around Huangfeng star because Huangfeng star was rotating. As Huangtu star was revolving around Huangfeng star, the two slowly approached each other. Similarly, Huangfeng's star was also pulled by Huangtu's star's gravity and began to revolve around Huangtu's star. As Huangtu's star approached, the atmosphere on Huangtu's star slowly separated from its huge body and rushed towards Huangfeng's star. Chen Hao frowned. It didn't feel right. Although the two planets were revolving around each other, Huangtu's star's speed was faster, and the speed of its atmosphere gushing out was also faster than Huangfeng's star. On the other hand, Huangfeng's star was much less affected than Huangtu's star. Even when the atmosphere on Huangtu's star collapsed due to Huangfeng's star's gravity, Huangfeng's star didn't feel anything at all. As the yellow wind star and the yellow earth star continued to approach, the atmosphere on the yellow wind star was increasingly detached, and many of the atmosphere began to contact the yellow wind star. They were approaching. There was no sound, but Chen Hao could see it, but the moment the two approached, the place where the yellow wind star and the yellow earth star touched exploded and flames burst out. At first it was a red flame, and as they approached each other, the flames produced became brighter, from red to yellow, and then to white. Chen Hao's eyes were bright, and the light illuminated the surroundings. After the light was produced, a scorching breath came towards him. Chen Hao looked closely and saw a scorching fireball coming towards him. Before he had time to think, the fireball hit Chen Hao. Boom! At this moment, Chen Hao heard a sound. A deafening sound rang in his ears. When the fireball hit Chen Hao's body, it suddenly exploded and turned into countless flames and scattered. Chen Hao knew that he couldn't observe with his naked eyes, so he used the vision shared by the little diamond to look forward. Through the vision shared by the little diamond, Chen Hao could see the place where the yellow earth star and the yellow wind star collided. The yellow wind star was spinning rapidly, surrounded by countless rubbles, which were surrounding the yellow wind star and sinking into the body of the yellow wind star. But the yellow earth star had disappeared. Seeing this, Chen Hao was stunned. What's going on? Chen Hao never expected that after the yellow earth star collided with the yellow wind star, the yellow earth star disappeared. Information processor Chen Hao frowned. What's going on? Although the volume of yellow wind star and yellow earth star is similar, the mass of yellow wind star is actually 3 times that of yellow earth star. The density of yellow wind star is greater than that of yellow earth star, and the collision has no effect on yellow wind star. At the same time, a large amount of gas on the outer periphery of yellow earth star is ignited, and the core is smashed, so this situation occurs. Chen Hao's mouth twitched. The threefold mass difference, the impact is so great. No way. Yellow earth star can't smash yellow wind star, so if it is replaced by other stars, it will be even more impossible. I can only put it away first. Thinking of this, Chen Hao took out the star catcher ring card and waved his hand. The star catcher ring appeared right above yellow wind star. The star catcher ring went down and surrounded yellow wind star, accompanied by the white light. The star catcher ring and yellow wind star disappeared at the same time. 2 cards appeared in front of Chen Hao. Chen Hao put the card away. He looked at the yellow wind star card. Gas giant planet yellow wind star. This guy is really tough. Chen Hao put the card into the universal book. Chen Hao looked around and looked at the extremely vast space in front of him. He turned around and looked in the direction of the star in this planetary system. From this position, the star called the Sun by the people of Waf continent is about the same size as the Moon in the naked eye. At this moment, all 10 planets in the entire planetary system have been collected by himself. Now there is only that star, the commander without troops, in this planetary system. If you want your beast to continue to become stronger, then you can only choose to go to another planetary system. Thinking of this, Chen Hao said, Information processor, build a warp engine channel and take me to the planetary system closest to us. Building. Accompanied by a mechanical voice. A dark portal appeared in front of Chen Hao, which was the entrance to the warp engine channel. Construction completed. Chen Hao looked at the dark entrance in front of him and stepped into the entrance. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 386. Chen Hao had heard from the information processor that even if the warp engine channel it built was used, it would take 2.3 years to reach another planetary system 6.9 light-years away from here. Before entering the channel, Chen Hao was thinking about one thing. What kind of space would the warp engine channel be? After entering the warp engine channel, would he have to fly in the warp engine channel for 2.3 years? Or could he call out something like the God Realm Star, and then live in the God Realm Star for 2.3 years, waiting to reach his destination? Chen Hao was thinking about this and stepped into the warp engine channel. Suddenly, Chen Hao felt a blackness in front of his eyes, and then a light. Chen Hao was slightly startled, and there was a hint of confusion in his eyes. In front of Chen Hao, a golden planet appeared. Chen Hao raised his face and looked to the other side. He could see a burning light in the distance. It was obvious that there was a star in the distance. Chen Hao retracted his sight and looked at the planet in front of him with an orange halo. He was a little confused. Arrived. For Chen Hao, he just took a step, and in just a moment, he arrived. Information processor, didn't you say that it takes 2.3 years to get here from the planetary system I was in before? What's going on? After entering the warp engine channel, your perception will be completely compressed to zero. The moment you enter the warp engine channel, your consciousness will disappear. So it seems to you that it's just a moment, but in fact, 2.3 years have passed. Hearing this, Chen Hao was a little confused. 2.3 years have passed just like that? Chen Hao thought for a while. Book. The figure of the universal book appeared in front of Chen Hao. Chen Hao opened the book and looked at the card slot that was used to hold the gray star card before. Seeing it, Chen Hao's pupils condensed slightly. The card on the card slot that originally held the gray star card has changed. Energy Crystal Block Planet Crystal Block. Description: the energy crystal block converted from the entire rock planet has pure energy. Chen Hao took out the planet crystal block card. Previously, the information processor said that it would take 6 months to convert the gray star into an energy crystal. And now the conversion has been completed. This means that more than 2 years have really passed. Chen Hao took out the God Realm card, Transform. The God Realm card glowed slightly, and a white light fell in front of Chen Hao, transforming into a figure. This figure was exactly Xiaoying's appearance. Xiaoying was closing her eyes. She slowly opened her eyes. Her red eyes reflected Chen Hao's appearance. Her eyes glowed slightly. Master. Her voice was a little more excited, and tears welled up in her eyes. Chen Hao smiled. Why are you excited? Hearing this, Xiaoying's eyes glowed with water. Master, Xiaoying hasn't seen you for more than 2 years. We are a little worried that something has happened to you. So I am a little excited to be summoned by you again. In other words, when I have been in the warp engine channel for 2.3 years, the world in the card will also operate normally. For Xiaoying and the others, has it been more than 2 years? Chen Hao was too lazy to dwell on this matter. He smiled and said, don't worry. I've said before that your master is invincible. Nothing can happen to him. Don't worry about me. Xiaoying nodded slightly. She raised her face and looked at Chen Hao. When we were nervous, Diamond also said that nothing would happen to you. I also think that you are so strong that nothing can happen to you. It's just that I am a little excited and surprised to see you again. Hearing this, Chen Hao smiled. He stretched out his hand and handed the card in his hand to Xiaoying. Xiaoying looked at it, raised her hand, wiped the tears that moistened her eyes, and then stretched out her hands and took it respectfully. "Master, what is this?" She looked at Chen Hao in confusion. Chen Hao smiled and said, "This is an energy crystal block made of the entire planet. Eat it. After eating it, you can also step into the planetary level like Xiao Diamond." When Xiaoying heard this, her eyes lit up slightly. She looked at Chen Hao. "Thank you, Master." Hearing this, Chen Hao smiled, "No need to say thank you." Transform Xiaoying's voice sounded, and the card turned into a square crystal emitting a white halo. The crystal was suspended in Xiaoying's small hand, emitting bright light. She opened her mouth and sent the energy crystal block into her mouth. When the energy crystal block entered her mouth, Xiaoying closed her eyes. At this time, white light shone from Xiaoying's body. Xiaoying's whole body was covered by white light, and her whole body turned into a transparent white crystal. Immediately, the white light swallowed Xiaoying's entire body. Chen Hao's eyes were bright. This bright light made Chen Hao's naked eyes unable to see anything. Chen Hao's body retreated and retreated to a distance. He looked in the direction of Xiaoying again and found a huge ball of light spreading out from Xiaoying, illuminating the surroundings. This ball of light looked very large, almost the same size as the gray star before. "Is this ball of light energy?" Chen Hao muttered. At this time, the ball of light shrank rapidly at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, the ball of light shrank from the size of a planet to the shape of a human. A human figure covered by a white halo appeared in front of Chen Hao. The white light slowly dissipated. Chen Hao came in front of the human figure and looked at Xiaoying. After the light dispersed, Xiaoying appeared in front of Chen Hao. Xiaoying had long black hair that naturally fell behind her. She was slender and wore a thin light armor. The light armor formed a cloak and draped over her slender body. On the surface, it seemed that there was no difference from Xiaoying just now. Xiaoying slowly opened her eyes and looked at Chen Hao. "Master." Chen Hao stretched his eyebrows and smiled. "How do you feel?" Xiaoying's eyes were shining, and she looked at Chen Hao. "I feel full of strength, and my body has gained various special abilities." "Well." Chen Hao crossed his arms. "Become a real body, let me see how big you are." Xiaoying was startled. She shook her head. "Master, I can't get bigger." Chen Hao was stunned. "Can't get bigger? Hasn't Xiaoying evolved to the planetary level now?" "Information processor, show Xiaoying's status," Chen Hao said. A transparent blue screen appeared in front of Chen Hao. An information data appeared on the screen. Planetary gene Xiaoying. Taming degree, 100%. Description: a planetary creature evolved from planetary genes. Her body is made up of the energy of the entire planet and possesses absolutely powerful destructive power. Chen Hao's eyebrows stretched and looked at Xiaoying. "You can't turn into a planet." Xiaoying nodded slightly. "The me now is my true body. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world." Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 387. Chen Hao touched his chin and thought. Yes, there is a difference. Xiaoying has always been genetically evolved. She has a different evolutionary direction from the gem beast diamond, and is also different from the pulse beast. Therefore, after gem and diamond evolves to the planet level, it will evolve into a planet. But is Xiaoying different? Information processor, please explain, what is going on? Why is Little Diamond a planet after evolving to planetary level, but Xiaoying is not? Chen Hao asked the information processor. Chen Hao couldn't figure out this situation, so he simply asked the information processor. Little Diamond itself is a gem beast. The evolution of a gem beast is the evolution of enhancing its own material and energy, while Xiaoying's evolution process belongs to genetic evolution, and genetic evolution mainly involves transforming its own genes. Currently Xiaoying's entire body has extremely high density. You can simply understand her as her entire body is a body formed by compressing the material energy of the entire gray star. A mechanical voice sounded in Chen Hao's mind. Hearing this, Chen Hao fell silent. Although it sounds powerful, it is not intuitive. Chen Hao looked at Xiaoying. Is there a way to show me all the strength you have now? When Xiaoying heard this, she looked around, and then her eyes fell on the rocky planet not far away. She looked at the planet, and then looked at Chen Hao. Master, I can use that planet to master, show me. Hearing this, Chen Hao nodded slightly. Xiaoying's body moved and disappeared. When Xiaoying appeared again, she appeared above the rocky planet. Chen Hao looked at Xiaoying. After Xiaoying appeared above the rocky planet, she flew towards the interior of the planet. When Xiaoying approached the planet, the clouds in the planet's atmosphere approached Xiaoying crazily. Xiaoying's falling body burned because of the extremely fast falling speed and air friction. Xiaoying was surrounded by flames, and she fell from the sky like a meteorite. When Xiaoying fell, the clouds above where the planet was located approached Xiaoying, as if attracted by the gravity emitted by Xiaoying. When Xiaoying landed in the planet, Xiaoying raised his fist and punched the ground of the rocky planet. Boom! Accompanied by a loud bang. The ground hit by Xiaoying exploded, and cracks spread quickly. Chen Hao was standing outside the universe. From his perspective, he could see that at this moment, Xiaoying flew into the planet, and then, boom, the entire rocky planet exploded in response, with fire and magma splashing everywhere. The rocky planet was broken into countless rubbles, scattered in the cosmic space. When Chen Hao saw this, his eyes widened. The mass and volume of the rocky planet just now are obviously larger and more powerful than the previous gray star. The energy Xiaoying obtained was obviously the energy of the entire gray star. Even if the energy she possessed before was added, she could not be stronger than the rocky planet in front of her. But at this moment, Xiaoying smashed the rocky planet in front of him with one punch. A small shadow appeared in front of Chen Hao. Owner. Chen Hao was startled and looked at Xiaoying. Xiaoying looked at Chen Hao. Master, it's done. Hearing this, Chen Hao's eyes lit up slightly. In other words, after her genetic evolution reaches the planetary level, will her combat power be stronger than that of ordinary planetary level beasts? Thinking of this, Chen Hao thought of the power Xiaoying had always shown. Yes, Xiaoying has always shown strength that is stronger than the pulse beast or gem beast of the same realm. Is genetic evolution a more powerful evolutionary route? According to the information processor, the body in front of Xiaoying looked like an ordinary person, but in fact her body could be said to be compressed from the entire gray star planet, and her body density was extremely high. If a planet is the size of a human body, how high must its density be? The mass remains unchanged and the volume shrinks. The higher the density, the greater the destructive power. Although the gray star is not as massive as the rocky planet just now, the density of Xiaoying is too high, so the rocky planet can't withstand it at all. A bit strong. Chen Hao subconsciously looked at the rocky planet that had turned into countless rock fragments. The rock fragments shattered by Xiaoying's punch are now condensing towards each other's center of mass gravity. It looks like they are planning to reunite. Seeing this, Chen Hao looked at Xiaoying. Xiaoying, those gravels have to be condensed together again. Do you have a way to absorb them and convert them into your own energy? Hearing this, Xiaoying looked at the gravel, then shook his head. It can't be converted. Chen Hao understood. Transformation. The God Realm card lit up slightly. A white light appeared in front of Chen Hao and turned into a human form. A small diamond appeared in front of Chen Hao. Little Diamond looked at Chen Hao, her eyes lit up slightly. Master. Hearing this, Chen Hao smiled. There is a rocky planet over there that was just shattered. You absorb the rock. Little Diamond was startled. She looked at the planet fragments in the distance that were slowly condensing together. She looked away and looked at Chen Hao. Okay. Little Diamond rushed towards the planet fragments, and his body turned into a gaseous planet, swallowing the planet fragments into his body. Chen Hao looked at Little Diamond's actions, and Chen Hao probably knew the current situation. Xiaoying is different from Xiao Diamond. Xiaoying, who has evolved through genes, cannot transform into a planet at the same time like Xiao Diamond and devour the matter of other planets to increase her own energy and matter. However, Xiaoying's destructive power is stronger than any planetary existence of the same level. There are advantages and disadvantages. Information processor, open the 3D image of this planetary system and let me see this planetary system. A 3D image appeared in front of Chen Hao. This is a 3D image model of a planetary system. In the middle of the planetary system is a star like the Sun, and next to this star, there are 6 planets. And now Chen Hao and others are at the location of the second planet. Chen Hao looked at it. 6 planets, are all 6 rocky planets. There was a hint of novelty in his eyes. In other words, this planetary system is different from the 2 planetary systems Chen Hao has seen so far. It is a planetary system full of rocky planets. And these rocky planets are of different sizes, some big and some small. Seeing this, Chen Hao relaxed his eyebrows and smiled. The beast masters are blessed. Chen Hao looked at these rocky planets and was considering which one to eat next. Suddenly, Chen Hao's sight paused, and his sight fell on the satellite orbit of the 4th rocky planet. Beside the satellite orbit of this 4th rocky planet, a group of warships were hovering. This is... A light bulb suddenly lit up in Chen Hao's mind. A group of warships of the Green Civilization. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 388. Looking at these warships, Chen Hao realized one thing. The Green Civilization has traveled in this vast universe for more than 600,000 years. During these more than 60 years, the warships owned by the Green Civilization need to consume resources. At the same time, the people living on the warships still need to live. After a long time, the population will increase. The population that the warship group can bear is obviously limited. The Horn said that the Green Civilization will use the power of technology to build a temporary base in a planet that is not suitable for human survival, and then let people colonize it and collect warship resources at the same time. The planetary system where Chen Hao is at the moment is the closest to the initial planetary system. Such a close place, the Green Civilization will naturally not let it go. They have been here and established a base here. Chen Hao crossed his arms. In other words, if I want to clear all the planets in this planetary system, the humans living in this base left by the Green Civilization will inevitably be affected, and perhaps it will be fatal to them. Chen Hao touched his chin. This problem is not difficult to solve, that is, just collect them directly like the ocean stars. In this way, their lives can be saved without affecting their development. However, this is not very feasible. According to Xiaoying, the card is actually a unique space, which can accommodate the entire planet and provide a living environment for the planet and the life on the planet. But there is a disadvantage, that is, a transparent space cover will appear outside the outer planet, restricting people on the planet from leaving the planet. That space cover, or it can be said to be the size and limitation of the independent space inside the card. But it is obvious that the Green Civilization staying on this planet is already a space civilization. They are civilizations that have the means to leave the planet for space travel. There is an essential difference from those civilizations on the ocean star. A message is sensed from the position of the 4th planet. Do you want to receive the message? Suddenly, the voice of the information processor sounded in Chen Hao's mind. Hearing this voice, Chen Hao was slightly startled. The 4th planet. Isn't that the message from the base of the Green Civilization? Except Chen Hao said. As Chen Hao finished speaking, a voice sounded in Chen Hao's mind. Who are you? This was the voice of a middle-aged man, and the voice was low and vigilant and questioning. Is this the information sent from the base of the Green Civilization? Chen Hao crossed his arms. Information processor, help me translate my words back. Yes. Chen Hao said lightly, I am who I am, what does it have to do with you? After Chen Hao finished speaking, the other party did not speak. Chen Hao was stunned, did it pass back? The other party uses electromagnetic waves as a medium for transmission. The speed of electromagnetic waves is the speed of light. It takes about 3 minutes for information to be transmitted. Oh, no wonder. After about 6 minutes, Chen Hao heard the other party's response. You look like a green civilization, but you are not a green civilization. I don't know which civilization you are from, it doesn't matter. If possible, I would like to invite you to the 4th planet and destroy this planet. Chen Hao was slightly startled, and he frowned, the 4th planet, isn't that the planet you are on now? This time the other party was silent, and was silent for a full 10 minutes. Finally, a voice came. This place is the wrong place, these people should not live, death is a relief for them. Hearing this, Chen Hao was a little confused. Chen Hao said, Information processor, is there a way to know all kinds of information about the person who is talking to me now? I want to know why he has such an idea. Got the instruction, searching for target information. Searching. Search successful. Currently, the other party's information has been obtained. Do you want to directly implant the information into your information database? Hearing this, Chen Hao was startled, implant into the information database. You need a huge amount of information to know his thoughts. If you want to obtain this information, implant the information directly into your information database, and you can read it directly. Well, will it harm me? No. Chen Hao nodded slightly, okay. Implanting. Accompanied by the voice of the information processor. Chen Hao felt that there was something more in his brain. It seemed to be memory. Chen Hao closed his eyes. Yes, this is a memory, but this memory does not belong to him. This is the memory of the person who talked to him. By reading these memories, Chen Hao knew everything that person had experienced. Fuat Star, this is the name of the 4th planet. That person's name is G. G is a perfect human created by scientists of green civilization through genetic engineering. His current position is the chief astronomy doctor of green civilization. But for G, the development of Fuat Star at this moment is wrong. The current technology of green civilization can already perform gene editing. Through gene editing, talents needed for manufacturing can be cultivated, and unnecessary gene fragments will be cut or removed. On Fuat, there is no free love. Because of the existence of artificial wombs, women do not need to give birth to children. There is no blood relationship between people. All people are cultivated because of the needs of the base. G has studied the history of green civilization. He believes in nature and evolution. All life on Fuat is just a tool that exists because of the needs of the base. There are flesh and blood, but no soul. All people are born artificially. There is no mutation in genes, and people will not evolve or change. Even if this world is given tens of millions or hundreds of millions of years, this world will not change at all. This is a deformed world, a wrong world, and this world should not exist. This is a gray world, hell is gray. This is G's idea. Until this day, G observed the existence of Chen Hao through an astronomical telescope. He saw the creature summoned by Chen Hao through the astronomical telescope, and the scene of a punch smashing the planet. He was excited. He realized that the person in front of him could end this wrong world. He chose to contact Chen Hao without telling anyone and submitted his request. Chen Hao flipped through G's memory and felt inexplicably shocked. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 389. When humans develop to a certain level, they can master the method of gene editing. Genes correspond to human height, IQ, EQ, etc. It can be said that almost everything about a person is determined by genes. The advantage of genes is the advantage of the gentleman, and this advantage is difficult to change. At the same time, if it is a disadvantage, it is also difficult to change. Genes have advantages and disadvantages, and gene mutations will also occur, leading to the emergence of unstable genes. Therefore, genes are unstable and uncertain. In Jay's view, the reason why humans can continue to progress is because of the instability and uncertainty of genes. Because of instability and uncertainty, more excellent genes will appear. In this way, humans can evolve and become more excellent. But like these green people in Fuyat Star, their genes are fixed. All are artificially selected and artificially bred. The people they cultivate correspond to the people needed by the entire base. If the base needs warriors, then they will choose genes with excellent combat effectiveness. If the base needs mining, they will choose genes with better physical endurance. If the base needs researchers, they will choose genes with higher intelligence. People are born according to the needs of the base. In Jay's opinion, in this way, no matter how long Fwat develops, people will no longer evolve and will no longer change. Of course, even so, Jay did not have the idea of destroying Fwat at first. Until, in the long years, Jay observed the expressions of all humans in Fwat. Jay found that all people living on Fwat had no joy, anger, sorrow, or happiness on their faces. Although they were human, they were more like zombies. They just did their work day after day and guarded their posts, like robots. The whole environment was extremely depressing. Later, Jay looked at the expressions of those people carefully again, and from those expressionless faces, Jay finally saw something different. Those expressionless faces turned out to have expressions. That was despair. That was the despair that came when life saw no hope. Jay could hear the cry of genes, the cry of life, and the cry of despair echoed in his ears. But he was powerless to change. For this reason, after work every day, Jay would curl up in a corner, close his eyes, and pray in his heart that someone would end it all. Master, suddenly, a voice sounded in Chen Hao's ears. Chen Hao came back to his senses, and he looked at Xiaoying, who was talking beside him. Xiaoying was looking at Chen Hao. "Master, are you okay?" Chen Hao was slightly startled, and he smiled. "How long have I been in a daze?" Xiaoying was startled. She looked at the little diamond beside her, and then looked at Chen Hao. "About 20 seconds. Chen Hao was stunned. 20 seconds. When Chen Hao just flipped through Ji's memory, he felt that the time he spent was very long. In his feeling, at least a few days had passed. Chen Hao understood. The information processor said that the information library Chen Hao had was actually Chen Hao's brain. From a certain perspective, the brain is an information library. And Ji's information is actually Ji's memory. It is very fast to flip through the memory through the brain. 20 seconds is enough to read Ji's life. "Master, something is approaching," Xiaoying said. Upon hearing this, Chen Hao looked at the 3D image in front of him. Through this 3D image, he could see a humanoid mecha flying towards him at a very fast speed. Seeing this, Chen Hao immediately thought of the horn. The appearance of this humanoid mecha is different from the horn, but it can be basically confirmed that this thing is a combat mecha of the Green Civilization. Chen Hao retracted his sight and looked in the direction of the combat mecha. At this moment, he could see that the combat mecha was hovering 1,000 meters away from Chen Hao and others, and it was staring at Chen Hao. Seeing the appearance of this guy with his own eyes, Chen Hao immediately knew what this thing was. Third generation nano mecha, explosion. The guard mecha of Fuyat Star, and also the most powerful mecha on Fuyat Star. Through Ji's memory, Chen Hao felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity with the mecha in front of him. "Are you also from the Green Civilization?" a voice sounded in Chen Hao's mind. This is a man's voice. There is a fighter named Lei in the explosion. This is obviously Lei's voice, but although it is Lei's voice, Lei is not qualified to communicate with a highly intelligent life from an unknown civilization. Behind Lei, the high-level commanders of the entire Green Civilization can only convey it to Lei after discussing it together, and then Lei will ask questions. In other words, the voice emitted by the explosion in front of him can represent the meaning of the green people of the entire Fuat Star. Chen Hao crossed his arms, looked at the explosion, and smiled. "We do not belong to the Green Civilization." Chen Hao said this in his heart, and this sentence was directly transmitted to the other side through the information processor. The other side was quiet for a while. Suddenly, another voice sounded in Chen Hao's mind: "Since you do not belong to the Green Civilization, please stop your invasion and leave this planetary system immediately." While Chen Hao was talking to Lei, the ground of the largest military base of the Green Base on Fuat Star slowly opened. Boom boom boom. Accompanied by loud noises. The diameter of the opened circular exit is more than 1,000 meters. A platform holding a supergiant laser cannon slowly rises from the exit. This thing is a supergiant laser cannon. The entire laser cannon is more than 300 meters thick, the entire laser cannon is nearly 800 meters long, and it is made of unknown metal. Countless thick cables are connected to the gun mount of the laser cannon. Suddenly, all the lights in the entire base disappeared. All the electricity was poured into the laser cannon through those thick cables. The barrel of the laser cannon was full of energy, and the barrel was shining blue light, which changed from blue to white blue, and from white blue to completely white, illuminating everything around. At the same time, in the sky facing the barrel, a mechanical disc appeared. The disc was like a circular mechanical door. If Chen Hao saw it, he would recognize it at a glance. This is the unique warp engine channel door of the Green Civilization. At the same time as the warp engine channel appeared, a warp engine channel door also appeared thousands of kilometers away from where Chen Hao was. Chen Hao heard this guy actually threaten to leave in such a warning and threatening tone. He was immediately a little unhappy. Chen Hao crossed his arms, looked at him playfully, and said with a smile, "What if I don't?" Explosion did not continue to speak. And at this moment, the laser cannon in Fuat Star, which had condensed all the electrical energy of the entire base, instantly shot out a super laser with a thickness of 700 meters. The laser swept past, and the earth was melted, leaving a lava road. And the laser was directly absorbed into the entrance of the warp engine channel. At the same time as entering the entrance of the channel, the exit of the warp engine channel thousands of kilometers away from Chen Hao immediately shot out a super laser, and the laser slammed towards Chen Hao and the other two. Chen Hao turned his head and saw that he felt his eyes bright. Although, the white light blocked everything in front of Chen Hao. The three were instantly covered by this supergiant laser with a thickness of more than 700 meters. I am immortal and I raise a divine beast in another world. Author, Chen Wunian. Chapter 390. When this terrifying laser enveloped Chen Hao and the other two. In the command hall of the Fuat Star base. The group of high-level people in gray uniforms stood up one after another. The commander-in-chief was a man, and the man clapped his hands. Pa. He was clapping, celebrating the success of this strategy. For Chen Hao and the other three, they saw the destruction of the planet. The destruction of a planet is a despairing thing for people living in this planetary system. In a planetary system, the gravity of all planets interacts with each other. If a planet is destroyed, the other planets will change their relationship due to gravity, causing the orbit of the planet they live on to deviate. The consequences of this orbital deviation are devastating. But fortunately, Fuat Star itself is a planet that is not suitable for life. The reason why they can survive on this planet is because of the power of technology. They can survive on this planet by wearing clothes made of special materials and functions every day. If the environment of this planet changes, they can also maintain it through the power of technology. But through the appearance of Chen Hao and the destruction of the planet by Chen Hao, they can basically be sure that this guy has threatened their existence. Since they are threatened, the best situation is to destroy this threat. However, even the technologically powerful green civilization dare not easily fight with a terrifying threat that can destroy a planet. Therefore, the green civilization has three choices. First, admit defeat, do nothing, and accept their future fate. Second, start a war, and the result is likely to be failure and destruction. The third is the battle they are carrying out now. Don't declare war on Chen Hao head-on, but choose to sneak attack. From the beginning, the explosion they sent out did not intend to negotiate peace with Chen Hao. The purpose of the explosion is just to divert the attention of Chen Hao and the other two, and then condense all its own energy, use the warp channel, and directly attack Chen Hao with the most powerful force, trying to evaporate Chen Hao and the other three directly. And now, it is obvious that the strategy has succeeded. At the same time, under the bath of this laser cannon, Chen Hao also realized one thing. These guys didn't come to chat with me, but to destroy me. In the vast universe, when a civilization encounters another civilization, there are only two possible outcomes, one is to destroy the other, and the other is to be destroyed. The green civilization planned to destroy me from the beginning. Chen Hao slowly closed his eyes. In this case, then I think you are ready to be destroyed, right? When Chen Hao's voice sounded in the command room of the explosion, the pupils of the man named Lei condensed slightly. In the command hall of Fuyat Star, the senior executives and commanders also heard this voice at the same time. The commander's face suddenly changed, and the senior executives looked at each other, with surprise on their faces. A figure flew out from the white light. It was Xiaoying. Xiaoying's figure appeared in front of the explosion, and she raised her hand and punched the explosion. In this vacuum, there was no sound. The huge figure of the explosion, which was more than 2,000 meters tall, exploded and collapsed. Boom, the whole body turned into countless nanorobots that were invisible to the naked eye. At the same time, the lasers covering Chen Hao and Little Diamond dissipated. Chen Hao and Little Diamond appeared in front of all the green people. All the high-level officials in the command hall of Fuyat Star widened their eyes. That was an attack that condensed all the energy of our Fuyat Star, but there was no damage at all. What on earth are these three? The commander's pupils trembled, revealing an incredible luster. Chen Hao looked at this scene, and he felt a little more interested. Before, when Xiaoying had not evolved to the planetary gene, she had no way to deal with the bullhorn when fighting the bullhorn. What about now? Is there any way to fight the explosion in front of her? Xiaoying looked at these scattered nanorobots and raised her little hand. Those nanorobots seemed to be pulled by some force, and all condensed above Xiaoying's little hand. One by one, the nanorobots that were invisible to the naked eye condensed into a metal sphere. These nanorobots were compressed together crazily. Chen Hao's heart moved when he saw this. Diamond said that after she turned into a planet, she could freely control gravity. Xiaoying doesn't need to turn into a planet now, she can control gravity. Obviously, the current pile of nanorobots is gathered together because of Xiaoying's gravity. All nanorobots are compressed into a ball under Xiaoying's terrifying gravity. Xiaoying clenched her hands. Boom, the sphere was crushed alive, and when it was broken, it exploded, emitting a bright light. Xiaoying's side turned and fell on the exit of the warp engine channel. The place where her figure disappeared. Chen Hao looked and said, "Information processor, follow Xiaoying." A warp engine channel appeared in front of Chen Hao. Chen Hao and Diamond entered the warp engine channel. Chen Hao only felt a black and a bright light in front of his eyes. When he and Diamond reappeared, they came to the vicinity of 4 planets. In front of Chen Hao, there is a planet that is orange-red in color. On this orange-red planet, you can see many metal buildings. On the periphery of the planet, there is also a group of warships hovering there. Obviously, these buildings and warships were obviously built by the green people who stayed on this planet. At the same time, Chen Hao saw Xiaoying. Xiaoying was standing in the air. She noticed Chen Hao coming over. She looked at Chen Hao. Master, the previous attack was launched from this planet. Hearing this, Chen Hao nodded slightly. Xiaoying looked at Chen Hao with her red eyes. Master, do you want me to solve it? Chen Hao smiled. Let Diamond do it this time. As he said, Chen Hao looked at Diamond. Swallow it? When Diamond heard this, she nodded slightly. Diamond flew to the side of the planet, and her body turned into a ball of light, which became larger. Instantly turned into an extremely huge gas planet. After the gas planet appeared, Chen Hao could see with his naked eyes that the volume of the small diamond was much larger than that of the Fuat star. The volume difference seemed to be 100 times. In front of the gas planet formed by the small diamond, the Fuat star was like a glass bead facing a big basketball. The small diamond moved its huge body closer to the Fuat star. At the same time, the people in Fuat star watched the dark blue planet slowly approaching in the sky. The terrifying volume of the dark blue planet enveloped the entire sky of Fuat star. Oh my God! The green people looked at this scene, their legs weakened, and they collapsed on the ground, their eyes fixed on the small diamond star that was getting closer and closer. At the same time, the surface of Fuat star, as a rocky planet, could not withstand the gravity from the small diamond star, and began to crack and explode. Boom boom boom. The atmosphere began to escape and enter the small diamond star. The surface also began to explode, and the debris flew towards the sky.